Welcome back to our course learning Dart 2 basics. In this video we are going to see how to install Dart. We'll learn how to install Dart on your PC so as we can be able to program Dart. So let's go and see how to install Dart on your machine. To install Dart is pretty simple. What you have to do is go to dart.dev and you navigate to this link, get Dart. There is a lot of information here on how to install Dart. It depends on your platform. If you are using Windows, there is information here on how to install Dart using Chocolate. Chocolate is a package manager or a software package manager for Windows where you can install Windows softwares easily. And likely there is a Choc packaging for Dart SDK, so you can install it if it's your first time using this command, or if you have ever installed it, you can upgrade it. There is information here which you can follow. For our case, I'm using Linux. So here is how you can install using Linux. You can install using apt-get, which is straightforward as instructed here. Also, if you're using Mac, you can install it here. But for our case, I'm not going to use either of the specified informations here, because in the future courses I plan to use Flutter, so I'll install that through Flutter, as you are going to see it soon. If you are moving to flutter.dev, you'll see there is information here on how to install Flutter on your machine. Flutter has got a means for you. Once you install it, you also install that. I think this is the only good way, because in the coming videos or in coming courses we plan to use Flutter. So it's nice to install it here, which will also install that. And this, I think, on my case is a good way, because we'll always ensure that the Dart version you're using is compatible with a Flutter that we'll use in the coming courses. So either ways, either you install through this instruction here or you install through Flutter, you at the end arrive into having a Dart. So in my case, I'm using Linux here, so I'm clicking Linux. There's information here on how to install it, and the simplest way is to use this snap. So if you have ever worked with Linux, you know what snap is. You have to copy this and run on your terminal. For my case, I've already done it, but this is what you're supposed to do, and I'm going to show you the current version of that thing I'm using. If I open my terminal and run that version, you can see I'm using version 2.15. So if I want to update to the current, there is a command from the Flutter that I will use, because when I'm updating Flutter, I also updating that. So I can run Flutter upgrade, and this command will run any new version of Flutter I'm supposed to have. So let's wait until this is completed upgrade. This will start upgrading my Flutter, where we'll upgrade also Dart SDK as it's shown here. So this is not necessary. you can only install that if you are only sure that you will use that only. But for our case that we plan to use Flutter in the coming courses, it's nice to install Flutter. So once you install Flutter from this note, sets as from Flutter 1.19 derivation, the Flutter SDK contain that commands alongside with the Flutter commands, so you can move easily learn that command programs. So downloading the Flutter SDK also downloads a compatible version of that. But if you download the Dart separated, make sure that the Dart versions of Flutter version of that is first in your path. So this is just an note that really want to tell you that that versions you install should also be compatible with the Flutter version that you're going to use. So for our case, I've just installed Flutter, and once installed Flutter, everything is also installed, especially that. And I think this is the best way for me because I plan to teach Flutter in coming courses. But if you are not sure that you're gonna use Flutter, you can still follow these instructions here that you only have that. So this will install Flutter and that alongside, so that you can start programming with that. So while it keep on updating, now there is another way for us to work with that. If you don't want to install it on a machine, you can still play with it through that. It's called Dartpad. It's in a browser version of Dart, where you can start to interact with that. And it's straightforward here. Don't worry, I will explain what is it. But this is how you try that in your browser without any installations. So if you want to play around and see if that is your type, you can come still to this Dart, try that in your browser, and you will run your Dart applications here if you want. And this is for small project. If you don't want to run or to create a very big project, you can still try to use this that in your browser. And it's nice for you to test some features or to experiment a new version of that without you have to install it on your machine. So that is an alternative to try that on your browser and run some Dart programs. But we won't use this, but where necessary I will show you how to use this. Okay, so in this video we saw how to install that on our machine, and we saw an alternative to try that if you don't want to install it on a machine. And in the coming video we are going to see the tools that you will use to develop that application. Till that time, bye bye.